If you are a killer main in Dead by Daylight, as of the recent news with the latest PTB introducing anti-tunnel changes yet again, nerfing a lot of killer perks yet again, while buffing survivor stuff yet again on all fronts, you are probably feeling about as bleak as I am. Now, there are a lot of reasons that I can think of why a killer player might quit the game. But as I discovered via Twitter, thanks to somebody named Ghost Anonymous, posted from the survey that the devs collect asking why somebody might quit the game, they will ask every question in the book other than why a killer player might quit the game. They do not ask about gen speeds. They do not ask about toxicity from survivors. They do not ask about any of the imbalance perks that survivors have. So I took it upon myself to ask my community and to go out of my way to ask other people. And thank you so much to those on the Twitter thread and those in my Discord who answered all of my questions as to why you, as a killer player, might quit or uninstall Dead by Daylight. So we're going to be looking into this, and I'm going to be discussing all of these major points. Since the devs do not want to ask or just simply don't care, I am going to do your job for you and list all of the major reasons why killer players are quitting the game. So let's get into it. Why do killer players quit the game? One of the number one reasons why killers quit the game is quite often they are forced to tunnel. And there's many other connecting reasons why killers are forced to tunnel, such as the gen speeds and stuff like that. But I want to talk about this main point because a lot of killer players actually don't want to, but they also don't want to lose. It's not fair to just force somebody to play casually and force this mindset that they should be okay with losing. Like, after all, why do we play video games? We play video games because we want to win. Winning is the goal, right? We don't play video games to lose. Even if you are more casual in your mindset, like, we play to win. It's weird. Like, it's weird to play to lose. Like, it's just like masochistic. I don't know. Like, it's you just like punishment. That's weird. Okay? A lot of killer players don't like that they are forced to tunnel. So if they had more incentive, more reward to not tunnel, then they probably would. They probably would. But that is one of the main reasons that I notice is that killers don't like that they are forced to play aggressively, and there's so many reasons why. But we're going to get into that because those are also overarching reasons why killer players quit the game. So the next one is gen speeds. Yeah, gen speeds are ridiculous. Even without gen speed up perks, without 4 toolboxes, without Deja, Hyperfocus, Resilience, Prove Thyself, even without all of these things that can speed up the gens can easily be completed in less than 5 minutes. It is insane. There is no base kit anything to slow down the speed of gens. All of the slowdown has been completely gutted, which is another major point that we're going to talk about. And it's ridiculous. You cannot feasibly not bring slowdown in Dead by Daylight as a killer, which at one point the devs said themselves that they wanted killer players to not have to run slowdown, so that slowdown was optional. Yeah, what happened to that? Because as of right now, you just can't. You just can't. It does not make sense to not bring slowdown, and survivors will say, oh, skill issue, when literally, like, you will see teams with 4 BMPs, and like, I recently, on a spirit win streak that I was doing, went against a cheating V, a cheating V, the new survivor, and she was hacking and completed the gens in less than 5 minutes, and I didn't know if she was cheating or if she just brought gen rush stuff. Like, how bad is that? That it's difficult to tell if somebody is cheating or not. And this is one of the major things that blows my mind. I think about this all the time. The fastest 5 gens completed is 2 minutes and 34 seconds, and that was set by hens. 2 minutes and 34 seconds? Brother, that should not be possible. How insane is that? 2 minutes and 34 seconds. That number haunts me. I wake up in the middle of the night and think about that poor Nemesis player or whoever that had to go against that. And the devs themselves said, well, we're introducing anti-tunnel because we don't want... it's not fair if a survivor gets tunneled out in 2 minutes. Well, what about when a killer player has one chase and the gens are done in 2 minutes? What about that? What about that? Why aren't we addressing that? Oh, I guess it's because we don't care. I guess it's because killers don't spend as much money as survivors do. I don't know. Going into the next point, we're going to talk about toxicity, which is a main thing that I've covered on this channel, and this is a huge reason why killer players quit the game. They are constantly quitting the game because killer players are being harassed by entitled crybaby survivors who literally, like, they barely get tunneled. They get like a soft tunnel, and they will bully, harass, and say slurs to the killer. They will threaten them. I had a stalker one time. I had a literal stalker. For over a month, I had a stalker, and they were a survivor player that was upset that they died. It is insane. And the devs are finally caving to these players when these players should just be ignored because these have the highest turnover rate. Bully squads that load into the game and their sole objective is to make you mad, and Lord knows there's 100 perks in the game that can help Swifts to bully a killer and actually ignore the gens. I have seen it time and time and time again. Swifts will they will leave the last gen and they will bully the killer, going for flashbangs, head-ons, you name it, pallet saves, blinding the killer every 2 seconds, and only when the killer starts to be a threat do they pop the last gen, and then they are toxic in the EGC, and then they rub it into the killer's face, and they bully them, and it's 4-on-1, and yeah, the killer's a big bad, he's a big bad killer. Yeah, well, what about then? Like, he's literally being like harassed and bullied. Like, who's really the aggressor here, you know? Like, and it's insane. Like, it's literally insane. I can pull up my Steam right now as I am recording this video, and I can read in 2 seconds an angry comment. Negative rep P100, so insecure, it had to tunnel at 5. That was just crazy. You must have sacrificed your entire family to play like this. Fuck you, blank. That took me 2 seconds to pull up my Steam comments. That took me 2 seconds. I just want to point that out. So yeah, that is a major reason why killer players uninstall the game. And into our next major arcing point, which is killers having bugged powers for weeks to literal months. I cannot think of a single killer that does not have bugs that affect them in some way, shape, or form that at the very least makes the experience playing this killer or maining them long term a little bit more annoying. There's so many. There's so many. For example, I play a lot of Pyramid Head, but I had to stop playing Pyramid Head because there was a camera bug while holding M2. When you're dragging your sword, that your camera would shake. It gave me a headache. It like overstimulated me. There was a bug with Pyramid Head as well where the hits wouldn't register. Your M2 would, the sound wouldn't play, and it was just weird. It was weird. And another thing too, his flicks were bugged. When you went for a flick, it would like be off center, and that was one of the funnest things about Pyramid Head. Houndmaster, for example, Houndmaster being left bugged for weeks to months, Slinger being bugged to the point where you shoot a survivor dead center in the torso and your chain just snaps off of them. What is that? What about Huntress players who you land a hatchet and it deflects off of their body? What about that? Oh, but don't worry, Huntress players, we'll boost Hawkins for you again. Yeah. Hope you still play. Please give us your money. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And we're throwing blanket stuff on top of everything, but we're not addressing this stuff. Like, do killer players just not matter? Does the maintenance of killers just not matter? Or are we just going to keep throwing things on top of them for them to deal with? Overtuned perks on the survivor side. This is a whole can of worms that I will go into, I guess, but holy moly. Yeah, this is a major reason why killer players uninstall the game. The perk balance on the survivor side is diabolically insane. Like, it genuinely boggles my mind that we have Sprint Burst Vigil, and Vigil recovers you from exhaustion 66% faster, and even after people complaining about it because it's not fun. It's not fun at all. It's not interactive. Going against a full hold W Swift with Sprint Burst is like one of the most boring things I've ever done in any video game ever, period. And what do? They add ghost notes to the game, which just helps them recover their exhaustion even further. Like, and in this PTB, they made it so that syringes now recover exhaustion. So if you have Blood Rush, and even without it, in a singular chase, you can have 2 sprinters on command. And if you're pre-throwing pallets and able to walk enough, hey, you might get a 3rd one for free. And with Blood Rush, you can have 3 sprinters in a single chase. Like, what is that? And that's just getting started. Going against full DS lobbies with Unbreakable, Shoulder the Burden, where no matter what you do, they have perks to counter every situation with the touch of a button, when every single killer perk is you have to win a chase, and it's like based on RNG too. Like, the fact that one of the strongest perks that we have for killer is literally based on RNG, and if you load it on Swamp, you just won't get it. Like, it's insane. Like, it's genuinely insane. And I understand that that's kind of how the survivor role is. Like, it's difficult to give survivors a perk that is completely skill based because it's more of a team based game, but giving survivors perks that can literally just win them the game if they're simply running it is just wrong. Like, it's just wrong. Oh my god. And that goes into the Shoulder the Burden as well, is one of the most unhealthy perks I've ever seen. It is a free win for survivors and just rewards a massive amount of sloppiness because they can just shoulder the burden. They can take a hook from their teammate who's being tunneled, even though and it's just, even if the killer is there and is able to down them, it's just a free extension of time. Like, it's just a free extra 70 seconds before the survivors feel any threat of somebody being dead. It's insane. It's genuinely insane, the comparison of survivor meta to killer meta. I like, there is like 3-4 perks to choose from in terms of meta as killer, like what is going to work. Like, we have Eruption, DMS, which got nerfed, it's not even as good. We have Pain Res, which is so bad on its own. No Way Out and Corrupt, like, that's 5 perks that are like the strongest perks, and you still will have survivors like, well, you have NOED. Actually, you have NOED. I don't want to hear about NOED, okay? NOED is nothing. NOED literally will give you 1 down at most, and sometimes it doesn't even do that because it gets cleansed right away. It's very easy to find. NOED is completely counterable. It drives me insane. But yeah, this is a major reason why a lot of killers will quit the game, is because the meta for Survivor is way too easy, and it's very, very, very strong compared to the options / value of what we have for the killer side. It's limited, and it gets strangled by killers like the Blights and like the Nurse and the higher tier killers. We can't have good slowdown because these killers will abuse it. And it's suffocating. Like, it's suffocating to think about. Which goes into the next point, that a lot of killers will uninstall because of the amount of just unwinnable games. Like, you can literally be at 3 gens and you are going against a just that type of team, and you already know that you can't win. You can't win. I did a game of Oni on Disturbed Ward with the pallet density update, and I just got pre-dropped into oblivion. Literally just pre-drop from the start, and I would break chase. I would try and chase somebody else. They would pre-drop, and every pallet with the pallet density update is so strong, I couldn't do anything. And I knew at 3 gens, it was over. Like, it was over. I was not going to win this game. The lack of willingness to reduce this rather than reducing tunneling, it just feels wrong. It just feels wrong. We should be focused on reducing the amount of lose-lose scenarios on both sides, rather than just trying to completely shut down a simple strategy that the killer is using in order to kill. Like, what is their role after all? The killer's role is to kill. Going into the next major point is imbalanced maps being boosted, and just imbalanced maps in general. Why are we boosting Hawkins? I was talking about this earlier, but Hawkins being boosted, Batum being boosted, with how imbalanced a lot of the maps are in Dead by Daylight and how certain maps can really hinder certain killers, why are we boosting maps in general? Like, the only maps, in my opinion, that should be boosted are maps that are, like, kind of more neutral, like they're more balanced, like Coal Tower, or I don't know, Rotten Fields, Wrecker's Yard, like stuff like that. Like, these are the only maps that should be boosted, and even then, nobody's gonna like that. Like, variety is one of the only reasons that people are playing this game, and we're boosting Hawkins? Like, I was getting into Oni for a while, and I love Oni, and they were boosting Hawkins, and it was like, it felt like the devs just didn't want me to play Oni or something. Like, I don't know. If you play Oni, like, you know it's so bad for Hawkins, like for Oni. The next major reason is the pallet density, which I was already talking about. The pallet density feels so gross. It just feels disgusting. And with the already overwhelming amounts of Sprint Burst, Vigil, Windows gamers who will press Shift and W the second they hear a heartbeat and pre-drop every pallet within a 20-mile radius, giving them more pallets just feels wrong. Like, there is a time where you should be greeting and you should be thinking about the resources that you are depleting. Even a killer who can chew through pallets, such as Nemesis or Bubba or New Myers, for example, on some of these maps, you can literally just get pre-dropped and just lose the game. And you can't mind game a lot of these pallets. Again, Disturbed Ward is disgusting for the pallet density versus how safe or unsafe these pallets are. They're all safe. They're all safe. So the pallet density update is just something that has further created a canyon-wide gap between the lower tiers and the high-tier killers, and we're throwing base kit anti-tunnel on top of that. It feels like a funeral for these killers, for the lower tiers, for killers like Onryo, for killers like Skull Merchant, for killers like Ghostface. Like, this feels like a fucking funeral. Like, we're just putting the dirt on them. Like, goodbye, goodbye. No one's gonna play you again. Goodbye. Like, oh. And that goes into my final point, which is the overwhelming amount of power creep. The overwhelming amount of power creep that we have been seeing, which has been leaving a lot of killers in the dust. The B tier, like, collection of killers has gotten so much bigger, and we've been seeing so many killers just kind of become obsolete, you know? Like Dracula has all these elements of spirit, these elements of Pyramid Head and stuff like that. So, like, why would you play Pyramid Head? Why would you play Spirit, right? Or the amount of power creep in Dead by Daylight that has been leaving killers absolutely left in the dust, on top of everything that we've been seeing update after update, is another reason why killer players are uninstalling. And this is why other killers need to have their bugs maintained and need to be adjusted for the current climate of DBD. The Myers rework was good because now he's at least a little bit viable. Yeah, he lost a bit of his identity, but at least he can't get bullied as hard, you know? So that was all of the major reasons why I collected that killer players are uninstalling. If you have any other reasons why you as a killer player might uninstall this game, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, it is insane, man. It is dark days as a killer main. I don't know. I truthfully do not think that the devs even play killer at all. I don't know. I think we need to have a reenactment of when Matthew Cote played against that Korean comp team. We need to sit one of the head devs down with a not even a comp team, like just a half decent team on one of these maps that's boosted with pallets, like Disturbed Ward. And just have them have no slowdown and just you know, throw them to the wolves. I don't know. But considering the fact that the devs aren't even willing to ask players why they are quitting the game, I felt the need to make this video because it is exhausting. The lack of willingness to even communicate with killers at this point. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm sorry to come out of my YouTube absence with something like this. I am going to try and get back into more educational content and maybe some meme kind of build videos as well. I'm going to start trying to do that a little bit more. But yeah, I just felt compelled to make this video because, oh boy, it is crazy out here. But I'm going to stick with it until the bitter end, and I'm not leaving DBD anytime soon, so I hope you guys stick with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.